Hi everyone, welcome to Triple G Creative Workshop. I saw these sad looking pallets lying around on the streets and of course I just had to give them a new life. I've been working off of these plastic sawhorses for the last year, so I'm in desperate need of a proper, solid and mobile workbench. I'm using a D4 grade totally waterproof glue, as this pallet workbench will always be kept outside on my rooftop workshop. Well, that's the first section done. I had to glue up the bench top in 3 separate sections, letting each one dry for 24 hours. Here I'm using one of the sections to try and weigh down my makeshift table while I flatten the tops with a number 6 bench plane. I had to plane both sides of every slab by hand and it took forever. There's a day and a half's worth of planing here. What I should have done is trim them all down to equal widths on the table saw before I glued them together. Isn't hindsight a wonderful thing? I went into a trance-like meditative state just to get through this. I realised the error of my ways with every single push of the plane. It was hard work. I definitely wouldn't do it like this again. But you know, you live and learn. Okay, so we're getting somewhere now. It's mostly smooth, and a little tip I picked up here: if you lightly rub a candle on the sole of your plane, it reduces friction, making it much more manageable. And now for some miter saw action. I love this saw. Here I'm trimming each section down to size before the final glue up. I also learned that using a scraper of some sort to spread out the glue is much more efficient than that silly silicone brush I was using earlier. I always used to give away these chunky bits of the pallets as I could never remove the nails. I used to try holding them still between my feet, which never worked. So I was pleased to discover this little trick from YouTube. These chunky bits will be perfect for the workbench legs. I won't bore you with the whole leg planing process because obviously that took a while too, but you can see how nicely they clean up. They look lovely. And just filling all of those nail holes with a bit of wood filler. I used 2 clamps on the outside and 2 spreaders on the inside of the leg pieces to hold them in place while I assembled them. I have to say, these Irwin clamps are the best. They're not the cheapest, but they're the best. So I'm just marking out the centre of where the wheels will be, and I'm using a Forstner bit to bore out about 3.5 centimetres, as the longest screws I've got are 100mm and I need to secure them well into the vertical slats of the legs. Checking it's all nice and square before I secure the top slats the same way. Okay, so this is where disaster strikes. This screw completely jammed and would not move at all. Luckily, I have just the tool for the job. Here I've got the legs upside down and I'm marking where the main support brace will slot in. I've already drilled out as much material as possible here, and this is my first time actually cutting a joint with a chisel. I've made a bit of a pig's ear of it, but it does fit, which I'm really happy with. We'll have to practice more in future. Watch this space. I'm excited. Finally, I get to fix the legs to the top and see my mobile pallet workbench coming together. I bought these 90-degree lock-in hinges online. I originally wanted to make my workbench with folding legs, but these hinges had way too much play in them, which allowed the whole workbench to sway and wobble. So the hinges went in the bin and it was back to the drawing board. I decided to bolt the legs to the bench top from underneath. I didn't use glue as I wanted to allow for movement in the wood, and I might want to shorten the legs in the near future as I wasn't really sure of what total height I needed. My drill bit was just long enough to hit the bench top, so I had to move the legs away and drill again to the required depth for the bolts. I'm using M6 bolts here. While I was giving my pallet workbench top a final plane, I could see that there was still a little movement in the legs, so I'll have to fix that later. I actually didn't have enough long pallet wood for the whole bench top, which is why there is this space. After watching hundreds of videos of how to make a mobile pallet workbench on YouTube, I got this idea of a tool caddy holder shelf thingy area from Paul Sellers. I'm securing it with screws and not glue, as I may want to adjust this in the future. You should check out Paul Sellers' channel if you're learning like me. He's got loads of awesome stuff. It's getting a bit late in the day at this point, so I need to put a coat of decking oil on the workbench to protect it, as it's going to be spending its first night outside. I love watching the grain in the wood come to life when you add oil. All those colours are lovely. So the next day I had time to cut some corner braces to stabilise that wobble in the pallet workbench. I had some scraps of melamine laying around, so I whipped up these right angle clamps and they worked a treat at holding everything in place while I bolted the corner braces to the legs and the bench top. Ta-da! Presenting the DIY solid mobile pallet workbench, complete with tool holder, caddy, shelfie thingy, which is actually really handy. I'm loving it. This is exactly what I needed. I can move it around wherever I want, and I might in future add another platform underneath and a vise and stuff. Those corner braces would just the job too, because this thing is rock solid. You can do the Macarena on top of it and it won't budge. Not that I tried it or anything. So this has had 2 coats of decking oil and it's working great. Look at the water just beading up on the surface. Guys, thanks so much for joining me on my mobile pallet workbench build. Please subscribe and press that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. See you next time on Triple G Creative Workshop.